Hello and welcome back to the show. I am your host, Katie Romagnolo, and we are live and unscripted answering our listeners' questions today on a topic that I get asked so many times. So, this is going to be really impactful, all about social media, what to post, what not to post, and when to post it. There is a really incredible framework that I use that is all about following the natural cycles of moon phases. And let me tell you, this stuff really works. The reason it works is because you are actually putting into action what is behind inspired flow. So, when we think about energy, and you've probably heard the term how everything is energy. When you get up in the morning, if you're a morning person, that's a natural state for you. If you're a night owl, more like myself, that's a natural energetic state for you. So when you start to swap around the things that you're doing in an energetic state that is not your natural flow, what does it feel like? Well, for me, being a night owl, if I got to get up at 5 in the morning and do something that I'm used to doing in the creative hours of the wee nighttime, it's going to throw me into a funk. I'm going to feel like I'm swimming against the current. That's what moon phases are all about. There are four distinct phases that I teach on to follow the energy for a week at a time so that you can actually be in the flow of the current, doing the thing that the energy is actually conducive to, rather than swimming against the current, rather than being that night owl in the morning trying to do the things that are not going to work for you. Go with your natural flow. So grab a pen and paper because I'm going to answer one of our listeners' questions specifically today on what to post and what not to post. So let's start this off in a sense of framework. I love giving processes and framework, things you can follow and go back to. It makes life more consistent, but yet still in a fun and magical way. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Interact with me in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, let me know as well. And thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and hit subscribe right now because there are always new questions and you never know what is going to resonate with you most. So you don't want to miss any future live videos or uploads on the channel here. So let's dive right into your first phase. Now, this is a really great timing for this because we're actually going to work this in real time. We are about to shift into what I call the first phase of our moon phases, and that is the new moon phase. So the new moon phase is going to shift into gear on the 20th. That's in 2 days from now if you're catching this on the live. So you can actually implement this in real time. You're getting 2 days lead ahead of time to implement how you're going to do your whole social media calendar for the next month. All right. This is going to be super simple, really impactful. Take notes as we go. Hey, Rolly, thank you for being here. And let's jump into new moon. Okay. So let's think about the premise of new moon. I always teach following moon phases at a week at a time. Now, this is very different than you may have seen before because technically our moon shifts as it's rotating into a new sort of set of light. It's showing more and more of its light reflected from the sun each and every day. But us as human beings and using our neurology and our subconscious cues, we find it very difficult to shift every single day. So there's a lot of science behind why I suggest following an entire moon phase for a week rather than a day. This is where your results are really going to start to kick in. As a business coach, it's important that stuff works. I'm not going to teach things that don't have a proven background. There's many, many years of not only trial and error, but really sustainable results that have happened through following the moon phase for 1 week at a time. So we're following the primaries, new moon phase, all about social media. Okay, so this is where the light in the sky is at its darkest phase. We don't see much of the moon at this time. This is your cue to know, okay, it's not time for me to go full out on everything that I want to do and launch and talk about everything that I want to on social media. It's more about instilling and planting a few little seeds here and there. This is your starting out phase. So you're planting, you're creating that foundation for magic to grow. So, in terms of social media, this is a great time that you're going to really lean into storytelling and think about your own personal experience. So, if you are someone who is looking to get clients or customers, you're selling products or services, think about that dream client or customer that you have who really needs what it is that you offer. And you're going to want to shift yourself right into their model of the world. How do they see life? Why do they need what you have? And you want to do this pre work ahead of time because this is what gives you that golden platform, the magic method to know exactly how to speak into what it is that they need to hear. So, the new moon phase, I always suggest you're telling stories about where you want to guide someone to go. And the hint of this is always going to be what is your lived experience? I truly believe that we move into the business that we need in our own lives at a certain point of time. So maybe you're a coach and you've created these amazing programs to help others with things that you've transformed in your own life. Spoiler alert, this is the whole basis for my entire business of Moonlogic. Everything that I have lived and learned and grown from and had results from, the ups and the downs, has been part of how I've crafted and created each and every single program and offering that I have. That works when you look back at where have your results come from. So who were you at a certain stage of life when you needed the thing that you probably offer now? What is the story that needs to be woven into that particular time in your life in order for you to connect? So, the new moon phase is all about feelings. It's all about moving into a better feeling state. So, think about the journey of where you want to guide somebody to, even if this is a product that you're selling, right? So, think about this. Maybe you've got these really cool t shirts that you sell, you've got these slogans that are on it, maybe these inspirational phrases that are on these t shirts. Well, how do you want people to feel when they have your product? Can you think of stories that capture in your own life why it is that you started this business? Why it is that you came up with maybe that really cool slogan or tagline? Think about your starting places for whether that's a product or service that you're offering. Tell the story of the building, but remember, in the background, the tone of the stories that you're telling, it's with intention. And the intention is to help guide people into a better place, maybe into a place where they're going to feel more fulfilled. If you're a coach, think about what your result is. You're going to start seeding that information. One thing that I like to do is I have a whiteboard. I call this my magic board, and it's in my office. And every single phase, it's about a week at a time, I'm writing at the top of that board what it is that my ideal client, my dream client needs to hear. What is it they need to hear that week? A lot of the times it coincides with the mantras that are given as your free moon calendar. So if you don't have your free moon calendar yet, go into the description here and grab it. You get a free PDF every single month to download, and it comes with mantras for the moon phase. So you can use this to guide you. Okay, what is my dream client going to be sitting in this particular week? What might they be facing? What might their problem be? What might shift them into a different phase? Where do you want to guide them? Use this for your entire platform of your new moon phase. Now, we're going to have a new moon phase that comes around about every 29 days. So every month, you can go back to your framework to say, okay, during this week, when I'm speaking into my social media, I'm going to start telling the stories of where I want to build from. I'm going to start planting the seeds of how I want people to feel. Where do I want to guide them? It's your ground zero. Then after that, we shift into a lot more of an action energy. So this is your first quarter week. And your first quarter moon phase is all about shifting into gear. So the things that you have been planting, the information that you've been telling stories on, where you want to guide someone to, this is where you want to start calling them forward into action. So, if you are, say, doing a launch of a brand new service, this is a time when you're going to start actually asking people to do the next step with you. You've been planting the seeds the week before. Where do you want to take them? Now you're actually going to do the step and ask them to do the thing that you've been planting the seed towards. A lot of the time, as heart led entrepreneurs, we sometimes miss the really important step of the big ask because it can feel a little bit like, I don't want to bother people. I don't know if they're going to say yes. It's that part where we really dive into vulnerability. But if you're coming from this space of truly wanting to do better in the world, to have a product or service that makes a good difference in someone's life, then you need to show up and actually let them know, I've got this thing that's going to make a difference in your world. And that energy shows through. Remember, you've done the pre work in the week before of putting them into this really good feeling state. And in turn, you're putting yourself into a really good feeling state. And that is always the basis of doing good work and attracting in who it is that you want to be working with. So think about the things that you want to ask. Remember that at the end, it's the call to action at the end of any kind of post. Now, this doesn't have to be stagnant in the sense of you're just doing text or you're just doing a picture. Think about how you can shift this up. We're doing movement, natural cycle, and flow. We want to shift up what we're doing. So think about doing some very quick videos where you are asking people to do the next step with you. And if you're someone that's uncomfortable in doing the ask, then at least you can know that during this one particular week in the month, to hold consistency for your asking energy, that allows you to kind of breathe into the other energies for the 3 other weeks in the month to say, whew, okay, I did what I needed to do this week. I don't have to push myself out of my comfort zone so much. In the other weeks, I can retreat back and kind of let things settle, get into flow, feel that soft alignment. If that's more of where your natural state is, that's definitely where more my natural state is. I'm not a big pusher, hard sales kind of person, but I do lean into rather the first quarter week, where that is the week that is for people to show up and say yes. Now, the thing to watch out for here is that sometimes as we are transitioning into the full moon phase, which really comes right after that first quarter, the tail end, so maybe the last 3 days of that week, this is when sometimes the objections start to come up. So here's where it's important to know how to handle what not to do. Because you may be putting out the ask, you may be putting out the questions on, oh, I'm going to call you forward in the thing that I know would be really great. Are you wanting this product or service? Can we jump on a call to see if this is right for you? Maybe you're doing all those great things and you're meeting objections. You're meeting the kind of block that's happening where people are not saying yes, even though it's a yes energy week. The reason that this is happening is it's information. This is what I call the gray zone. And the gray zone is where all the details lie. So if you're getting objections that pop up during that period in which you are asking people to move forward with you through your social media posts, then what's going to happen is you're going to look at what are those objections. There's a reason for them. It's not because you're not in alignment. It's not because the thing might not be an amazing thing for that person. It's likely because you are getting information to learn. Are there some limiting beliefs there? Are there things that need to be stepped over in order to expand where that comfort zone is? This is really good information. So don't worry about the no's. The no's are actually a good thing in getting you to a place where you know exactly what the objection is so that you know where self sabotage might be happening. Because let's talk about coaches here, okay? So when we're coaching people to move into the next stage of their life, then if you've never been there before, if the client I'm working with is looking to grow their business and they have never been to the maybe financial goal that they're looking to achieve, it's going to take some things to do that haven't been done before. And moving into that new neurology of doing something different can come with self sabotage because we want to retreat back into that state where it feels safe. Again, it's not because you're not good enough. It's not because your product or service isn't needed in the world. It's because there's information there that we need to integrate, that we need to look at, okay, how do we handle this? Why is this coming up? Where is that threshold? Something that is meant to be looked at and moved past. It's a forward motion energy. So, dialing this back to social media posts, where do you want to move people forward? We're continuing in that motion. The wheel is moving. Noticing, are there certain objections that you already know that your client or customer has? Maybe you've done this amazing market research already, and you know that one of the stumbling blocks that typically tends to happen with clients is that they say they don't have enough time to work through your program, maybe. Okay, well, knowing that ahead of time, you're going to do your ask in social media, your calls to action, building on your stories that you had the week before. And then you get the sounds great, but I don't have enough time to implement this. I don't have enough time to watch the videos. I'm a busy mom or I'm in school, whatever it is. This is where you're going to get really good during that week at talking about it before it becomes an objection. So, a great thing to be posting on social media is videos during this time where you are talking through the objections that you know are going to be coming. So, you're addressing the issue before the issue shows up. You're actually instilling and speaking into the subconscious part of who your dream client or customer is so that they know, oh, yes, that makes sense. That's for me. That's where I am. That's what I would have wondered. That's why that would have been a problem for me. And as much as you can, you are moving people forward into a state where they can say yes to you. And if you're constantly showing up doing these things, then it's going to build each and every lunar phase. You're going to build on this. You're going to come back around to your first quarter energy. You're going to do this again. That same person might be following you. They're seeing that information again. We need to see things in repetition. I'm doing this because it's like planting in your energy field. We need to see things in repetition. So keep doing this cycle. It's not a one-time thing. So I talked about the full moon phase now coming after that. And the full moon is when we are at a height of energy. It's when the light of the moon that's reflected from the sun is brightest in the sky. And we love this phase. We tend to take pictures of this phase. We tend to have stories about the full moon crazy at this time. So it is definitely a very captivating time within our human neurology. We want to talk about things at this time. So you're going to use this for celebration posts. You're going to use this to highlight results. You're going to use this to say that, okay, everything that you've been leading up to, now this is the point. This is oftentimes where if we are doing a launch sequence with something, I will say that we do the highlight of what you're offering on the day or so leading up, and then you actually do a doors closed to the product or service that you're offering. It's no longer available. We're closing the door. This is the last time to sign up right at that full moon phase. And then you're going to highlight and celebrate the people who have said yes. You're going to do all your amazing appreciation posts, and you're going to celebrate yourself. So, as entrepreneurs, we need to also be sharing the results that we're having for other people, the results that we're having in our own life. This is the time for transformation. So, if you are a coach that is working with people who are going through a transformation in their life, energetically, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, then this is the time in which that transformation will be at a peak. So, talking about transformation at this time, talking about the changes that are going on, the height of emotions, leaning into where your story started 2 weeks ago at that new moon phase and finishing it off. Right. So, where did you plant the seeds? And then where was that leading to? So, you can kind of take this like you're going to do the beginning of the story. You're going to also have a forward moving action that you're going to ask them to the next week. And then at full moon phase, you're going to start closing that story that you've been telling. It's really captivating because it keeps people moving and going. They're coming back to hear the end of your story that you told. You're going to share about the transformation point in your own life, where you started out to where you are now. The this and that posts do really good at this time. The before and the after do really good at this full moon phase time. So after that, we've got one more phase in our four primaries, and that's the third quarter moon. I often talk about this as the gray zone again. It's in between the two big energies of the new and the full moon. And this is the time for adjustments. So maybe you're looking for feedback on, how has the last cycle been? I've been working on putting out all these social media posts, and like, I want to know, is this really landing? Ask your audience questions at this time. Get them thinking and navigating through deciding, okay, what do I actually want for my life? This is a great time to be closing out things. So, if you are someone that works in the wellness industry and you're looking to start programs that are around losing weight or around just, better overall wellness and, dealing with hormones and all the things, there's all these different niches within your wellness industry, then this is the time where speaking into what are the things that need to change in life in order to have what you want. Really talking about, again, those stories, not only of the transformation, maybe the week before that occurred, but talking about how you got there. What was it in your life that needed to change? And this is more of that decisive energy that we're talking into at this phase, more in self care. So if you are someone that is working in any type of self-care, and I kind of believe that we all are, every industry has an element of self-care to it, then leaning into what do you need in order to have the self-care that's going to support the lifestyle that you want. Lifestyle posts do really good at this time period. Anything that is all about sharing feedback, asking questions is really great at this time period. It's also one where you can start to prepare yourself for doing this again. So, say if you know the next month, which comes right after that, is going to be the new moon phase again, we're cycling through this, and you're going to want to start talking about maybe a brand new offering or service or something. You want to kind of shift gears a little bit. This is where you can use your postings at this time during the week before in third quarter to really round out, close out any last minute things. If you are someone who works with organizing, maybe you've got a decluttering service, or maybe you're a stager, things like that, then giving checklists. Ooh, this is a checklist time to be getting life in order. So offering things like freebies, how to's, do things yourselves, the DIY energy during this particular time. Now, you're always going to make this unique to what it is that you do. So, take some of these keywords that stand out for you for each phase. You're starting off in new moon, you're planting seeds, how people are feeling, then you're asking them to take action in your first quarter. You're highlighting and celebrating, you're sharing transformation, closing out stories in your full moon. And then you are asking questions, closing and rounding out information, sharing checklists, value added pieces in your third quarter moon. And you just keep cycling through that. You create your own whiteboard, your magic board that has the dream client, the embodied dream version of your client that you know exactly what they're going through. And you ask yourself every day, what is it that this person needs to hear? That one question alone can shift your media, your social media channels in an amazing direction, because it takes the focus off, here's me and this is what I'm doing. And it turns it back to the audience to say, this is about you. You're here to gain value. And what do you need to hear today? It really helps to connect that authentic piece. So, the last part to this, just to kind of solidify where we are and all the things to do, is when we are thinking about what not to do, don't do the opposite of what that phase is. So, if we've got two momentum building phases, which are new moon and first quarter, and we've got two releasing or modification phases, which are your full moon and your third quarter, let's break these into two halves. Momentum, what does that mean to you during those two phases? For me, it's moving forward, it's building, it's creating. So you want to have posts that are around building, creating, instilling good things, starting from the ground up. Do not post things that are about letting go of things, because that's the opposite of that energy. This is where you want to be asking people to do things, not unraveling your work. So, unraveling your work would be in those modification phases where we are releasing energy. We are asking for people to do things, to sign up for things. It's the opposite of that energy. We don't want to be asking people to take forward action when the energy is more conducive to being in flow and letting things round out. We naturally need to have this balance of doing versus being energy. And the being energy is about catching up with all the doing work that you're doing. So don't constantly be in action, in asking, in pushing, in hustling mode. It's going to be felt all over your social media. And it's unfortunately going to repel probably exactly the person that you're looking for. So comb through, look at where you've maybe been doing this naturally, look at where you could make some adjustments, because we have 2 days of still sitting in adjustments energy right now. So if you're catching this live on the 20th of April, we are shifting into new moon. Put this into practice. Mark it out. Go ahead and grab your free moon calendar. You'll see week at a time where these phases are, and implement the keywords, your creation, your forward motion, and also your wrapping up, closing out, and see where you can post into that. So I would love to know how this is working for you. I have been following moon phases for years, and I do literally everything by moon phases. It becomes a very natural flow. It's what I love to teach and speak on. So if you want more detailed information on what to do each week, each moon phase, what not to do, then hop over to the description and join us at Moonlogic Magic School. It's an amazing vibe for heart led entrepreneurs. And we have a lot of fun get togethers and that on our social Moonia days as well. So you'll grab a whole bunch of more tips and tools as we move through the magic school each and every week with live options for magic sessions as well. So thank you so much for being here today. And join me next week. We have new questions from our listeners every single week. And you can also drop your questions in the description there. And I will see y'all then.